Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me again. This is part 2 of our message titled, On Fire But Not Consumed. And the miracle in the Bible that I'm talking about today is about the 3 boys in the fiery furnace. This morning I mentioned that there are 2 points that I wanted to concentrate on. The first one being freedom, and the second being freed from. So if you missed this morning's message, I spoke about freedom. And I'm going to give you a quick recap of the story, and then we're going to get into the second point that I had to talk about today, being freed from. So King Nebuchadnezzar set up a golden statue and ordered that all of his officials bow down to it. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego defied the king and said that they would not bow down to any statues and would not defy their God. So King Nebuchadnezzar became furious and ordered that they be thrown into the fiery furnace and heated 7 times hotter than usual. But to his surprise, they did not burn, they did not die. Instead, he saw 4 images walking through the fire. He brought Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego out and praised their God for saving them. So let's get into today's message about being freed from. So as a result of their faithfulness, they were freed from the blazing fire. They were on fire, but not consumed. Freed from is to make free, as from confinement or oppressions. Let's read Daniel, and chapter 3, and we're going to start in verse 19. And we're going to read the second half of this story. So it says, starting in verse 19, it says, Then Nebuchadnezzar was furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and his attitude toward them had changed. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual, and commanded some of the strongest soldiers in his army to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and throw them into the blazing furnace. So these men, wearing their robes, trousers, turbans, and other clothes, were bound and thrown into the blazing furnace. The king's command was so urgent, and the furnace so hot, that the flames of the fire killed the soldiers who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, firmly tied, fell into the blazing furnace. Then King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement and asked his advisors, Weren't there 3 men that we tied up and threw into the fire? They replied, Certainly, O king. He said, Look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed. And the 4th looks like the Son of God. Nebuchadnezzar then approached the opening of the blazing furnace and shouted, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the fire, and the satraps, prefects, governors, and royal advisors crowded around them. They saw that the fire had not harmed their bodies, nor a hair on their head singed. Their robes were not scorched, and there was no smell of fire on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and rescued his servants. They trusted in him and defied the king's command, and were willing to give up their lives rather than serve or worship any god except their own God. Therefore, I decree that the people of any nation or language who say anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be cut into pieces, and their houses be turned into piles of rubble, for no other God can save in this way. Wow. So let me ask you today, what do you need to be freed from today? What things are holding you back from living your best and most fulfilled life? I can name a few things that I'm in need of being freed from right now. And we know that the enemy is quick to throw our past experiences in our face. There will always be an obstacle to something significant that God brings you to. So let me read this quote to you. Healing doesn't mean you have everything figured out and you never have problems again. It means you are committed to doing the daily work to understand how your past affected who you are today and what works to create alignment with God and the future you truly desire. John chapter 16 verse 33 says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. God warns us of trouble in this world, but just as he walked through the fire with the 3 Hebrew boys, he will be with you. You may be on fire, but you will not be consumed. We are never alone. God is always with us in the fire. No matter where we go, we'll never be alone. Well, family, I hope you enjoyed this message and my take on the story of the 3 Hebrew boys in the fiery furnace and the miracle that God performed to save them and to show the king that their God is the one and only true God. Their God came through and saved them. So